So, good evening, everyone. I'm trying to figure this out, so give me a second. Sorry. I'll put it down for the moment. Anyway, hello, everyone. I'm not sure if I have this on. I do. So, I'm listening to the last. I don't normally come on live, so I just thought I'd come on live. So, hello, everyone. I don't know if anyone's even listening to this. That's another situation. Anyway, I was looking at the match last night, and I changed between Network 2 to BT Sport, and then I went on to TNT. So I had TNT, BT Sport, but not BT Sports because it's not BT Sport anymore. So it was TNT Sports. I had the Network 2 on, and I ended up on Premier Sports. What I am kind of talking about is the Celtic match against Almaty. Now, there's a lot being said over the last few listen to it, comments and so on. I see the situation with sack the board and so on, the money coming in. The last transfer windows have been, well, the last window we had, let's say previously, when they brought in Jeffrey, what's his name? Jeffrey, I wouldn't call him Jeffrey Snuff, whatever his name is. He's now joined Norwich City, I see, for the start of the season. I know he'd been looked at to come in to replace, or as a replacement for Craig Taylor, because they had Kieran Tierney coming in. So that was one thing. I suppose if you're looking at replacements for Tierney, if he gets injured, they had don't ask me how to pronounce names and so on. I'm not good at it. They brought the Japanese lad in during the summer, and he was played against Queen's Park at the start of the season. We won that 1-0. I think Stephen Kenny got the goal. Stephen Kenny. Is it Stephen Kenny? Anyway, Kenny got the goal, not Stephen Kenny. Stephen Kenny's the St. Pat's coach. But Kenny got the goal against Queen's Park. And they won 1-0 in the friendly. A lot of it, the squad itself, or the team itself, was very dilapidated or depleted because it was a friendly. Then you had the friendly in Ireland when they got the goal right at the very end in the friendly. That was 1-0. A lot of the players were not playing that either. Then you have the crying out for some defence, because you only have defensive wise. You have the usual Liam Scales, Vickers. Now Vickers was caught out badly at one stage yesterday. He slipped, and Casper Schmeichel was caught out nearly with the chip. I suppose if you look at it, we could have been beaten, and it probably wouldn't have. You probably wouldn't have just stopped. I don't know how you would have thought about it, because they had a great chance in the second half when the ball was crossed in and it was headed into Casper Schmeichel's hands. The header. With the chip itself, went over the bar, just over the bar, hitting the top of the net. I'm trying to think of what other situations. They had a chance in the second half. Once Ida was taken off, they brought on Yang for Ida. They brought Yang on to the left side of the midfield, the winger wise, as the 4-3-3. And they had Forrest on the other side. Then they took Forrest off and they played Negrin up for, in the right side. And then they had Yang on the left side. And then they changed it again and they played Yang on the right side. And they had, I think they put back Dyson back on the left side. And they played the Japanese player, Yasmin, So I think that's his name, isn't it? I'm probably brutal with the names, but it was just one of those nights. I mean, let's put it this way. This crowd from Kazakhstan have played 20 matches already in the season and probably a load of cup games also. So they're well ahead of what Celtic have at the moment. And signings, I'd really have to start thinking of the signings because you really have to think about it. You have the 2 Japanese lads who came in. You have Kieran Tierney signed from last season. That's 3 signings. You have Nygren, the signed from the Danish league. He came in. So you have 4. Well, I think we've got about 5 or 6 signings. You've got the lad from Fulham who was brought in for the B team. He was on the bench last night. I mean, I'm looking at a couple of the YouTubes that Celtic sites set up. I know the lad who talks. Don't ask me names again. He's going on about the run in Europe and the board and so on. I've been honest with you, this board has never. How do we describe it? I don't know how to describe it actually with the board. Now, I mean, you can go back. I mean, I'm going back further than this fella on the internet. For example, he's only 25, so he was born the year we won the. He was born at the start of the treble when Martin O'Neill came in for John Barnes. Now I can go back years, absolute years, when I got my first season ticket when I was in with Nay Pork. When the Jockstein stand was completed, I sent off to the forums to buy the season ticket, and a couple of weeks later or so, I mean the season ticket back in the day, 98, 99 was 250 sterling. So I bought my season ticket, and then I found Nay Pork, so I went over with them. I started going over in the bus, but the problem with going over in the bus in Belfast was a lot of the fellas coming in on the bus were probably coming in from the pub. That's mad because a lot of them drank. Too many of them drank, and I was never interested in that. Just to show you a Shelbourne mug and going to the match tonight as well. Shells and Linfield. But I was never interested in that. But it was the cheapest option to go on. The problem is, it's a rush. It's 4 o'clock. It used to be 4 o'clock outside the GPO, up to Belfast for 6 or so. Then to Glasgow, I say 8 over the Stranraer, straight down to Glasgow. You got down there about 12. And then it was a case of after the match, back onto the bus at say possibly 5:30 or so. I can't remember now. 5. Back up to the bus for about 8 o'clock sailing, and then back to Dublin. So you're back to Belfast probably about 12, and then home possibly after that. I can't remember now. Then I just came to the decision. I mean, a lot of it was just madness. It was the cheapest option, and you can still see it with Nay Pork, God bless them. They're using the cheapest option, which is just going by boat. Plane, no, they don't go by plane anymore. At the time, I had a season ticket up till 2010 when Tony Mowbray was in charge. So when I joined, Josef Venglos came in. Then John Barnes replaced Josef Venglos. He only, like Wim Janssen, Venglos only stayed for a season. Then you had John Barnes. Then you had Martin O'Neill. When Martin O'Neill left, Tony Mowbray. And then I just gave it up after that because I couldn't, I wasn't working. And I moved to Knock for a year, 9 months. And the club were giving my season ticket to others, but I don't know what happened after that. I don't think I was able to pay for the season ticket after that because I wasn't working. And then you're applying for jobs and so on and so forth. And it's very awkward. It is very awkward to try and get jobs after that. So I just gave it up after that. I managed to finally get a job in I got a course there a couple of weeks just before the COVID, 2018, and I managed to get a job. And I worked up in Piedmont, and then unfortunately COVID hit, and I had to let the job go, and then I got another job, but unfortunately the job wasn't what I had hoped. So I left that job, and then the COVID, that was around 22. A couple of weeks later, I got a job up in Tala. So that's around the moment. Now, the only unfortunate thing is I'm going on holidays soon. So to a pilgrimage to the shrines of Italy. I haven't been to Italy or anywhere since 2022. Just before I took this job, they were having their graduations on, so the college closed, and there was a break for a week. So I was anyway. I had this trip booked before I left, before I was going to the coming to the job. So I said it to the manager. So anyway, that's what happened this year. Unfortunately, we're all laid off for the summer, and on July, I'd say it was maybe July the 12th or so, maybe after that, a little bit after that. But I didn't realize the job itself was I didn't realize when I had booked the trip, we were back to work in September, the 8th of September. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Flip it. I can't do anything about it now. I'm looking forward to the trip. I haven't been away since 22. And I need to go somewhere, basically. It's a religious pilgrimage to Assisi. 3 nights in Assisi, 4 nights in San Giovanni, and part of the trip is going to see the Holy Veil. The veil is basically the veil that Our Lady put over our Lord's face when he was in the tomb. And then we're also going to the cave of St. Michael. So that's another thing. So religiously, that's where I am as well. I have my faith in that way. As for another day, I was talking all things about Celtic at the same time. Look, last night was disappointing, and it was disappointing. They had a couple of chances. Forrest came out. Forrest had a great chance in the second half, straight from the kickoff, and it was saved onto the post. Saved. They really didn't pepper that Almaty crowd until the second half, and when they used Dyson Maida on his up front, so they changed it. I mean, Maida came out there a while ago and was we were kind of getting the idea that if he would only be signed as extended contract if he was more used up front. So when Kyogo went to when you think of Kyogo, where did he go? He went to France first of all with Rennes, and then that didn't work out. So now he's with Birmingham City. So they normally say at clubs, don't go back a second time. I can't tell you how many times we've had players who come back a second time. Managers, Billy McNeil, Neil Lennon. And now we've had Brendan Rodgers. It doesn't always work out. Don't ask me why. It doesn't always work out. With Billy McNeil, after he left, when he came back in 87, 88, they won the double. They won the cup the following year. And in 1990, 91, he was, I think he was sacked. That's the way it went, Liam Brady came in then. I don't think Liam Brady, unfortunately, had a lot of experience as a coach. And back in the day, no one's going to turn around and say to anyone, the coach, they're not going to do what they do now. If you don't have a license, you're not going to get in. And that's the situation, Liam Brady came in for a couple of seasons, 91 to about 93, 94. He was gone halfway through the 93 season, a little bit. I can remember because I was in school, and I remember coming home, and I think I put on teletext, and I mentioned that Liam Brady was actually, he resigned from the post. Then he went on to Birmingham and so on, and academy roles with Arsenal. But even back in the day, when you think of him, from 91 up to 94, 93. You were very lucky if you got out the players you got at the same time. Some of the players that were brought in were just... there's a great programme that used to be on Scotland, Scottish TV, Only Excuse, with Frank McAvenny, Shocker Rooney. I mean, there's words like that you can use. And some of the players that we brought in back then. Andy Payton. Now, he was a decent player from Barnsley, but he wasn't brilliant. I think the most he ever got was 15 goals. I can remember getting knocked out of the Scottish Cup in 93 by Falkirk, I think it was, 1-0 in the Scottish Cup. And then you're looking at other teams, signings like Stuart Slater. He was supposed to be a very good player at West Ham, didn't work out at Celtic. Gary Gillespie, he came in. Tony Cascarino, then there was the transfer between himself and Tom Boyd, an exchange. Gordon Marshall came in, 91 or 92. Gordon Marshall was supposed to have been a good goalkeeper with Falkirk. They signed him. Lee Martin came in. Now, Lee Martin was, God, that was with Lou McCarry. I don't know what Lou McCarry saw in Lee Martin, because at the end of the day, I saw Celtic playing against Sligo in a friendly in 93, just before he was sacked, Lou McCarry, at the end of the 94 season. He was supposed to have been going to the World Cup in America in 1994, and he was sacked just before that. I mean, Lee Martin, for example, he scored the goal in the 93 FA Cup final, I think it was. Or 1990, sorry, the 1990 Cup final with Manchester United and Crystal Palace. The first match was 3-3. The second match was 1-0. Lee Martin got the goal. I remember asking for Lee Martin's autograph, and he said to me in the Sligo hotel at the same time, "I don't play for Celtic." Now, I'm not stupid. I know players when I know players. And I knew he played for Celtic, but it was an arrogant, ignorant thing to say. But he didn't last. I don't know how long Frank McAvenny stayed, but he was gone before Liam Brady came. Or not Liam Brady, sorry, Tommy Burns. Tommy Burns had Charlie Nicholas up to the cup final in 94 against Raith Rovers, and then they got beaten on penalties. And he really didn't last that long. I think Andy Walker was on the bench when they won the cup final in 95. And he was gone after that. Bolton re-signed him, or else he was back to Bolton. I can't remember now. Then 95, just before the cup final, we managed to get Pierre Van Hooijdonk. He got the winner again. He got the goal against Hearts in a 1-1 draw. Then your Japers. I mean, I can remember one match to play Dynamo Batumi in Georgia. They won. Did they win that match? I think they did. 3-2. Simon Donnelly got a goal, and so did Andreas Thom. Was signed from. I think it was Hertha Berlin. I think it was, or something. I can't remember now. But they signed him for a couple of seasons. Just give us a second. I'll be back to you. Just in a second, I'll be back to you. Sorry, just want to check something. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I don't know how many people want to even look at this. Let's see. So, anyway, like I said, look, at the end of the day, when you're talking with Celtic, I had my season ticket from 98, 99. I mean, they got knocked out of the Champions League qualifiers against Croatia Zagreb. They won 1-0 at home. Darren Jackson got the goal in 98. Then they lost this, or sorry, 99, I think. Yeah. Was it 98? No, 98. Sorry, 98. They got knocked out by Croatia Zagreb in the second leg. I don't know if Mark Viduka got one of the goals, but anyway, they signed Mark Viduka just after that match. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, was it depression or what he suffered from, but he left for a couple of weeks. And I don't know what happened, because he was missed. Because back then, the 98, 99 season, yeah, it was disappointing. I mean, we did get good players. For example, the whole story was we had Vida Reset from, there was a story in the Daily Record or something, or the Sunday Mail, that it was known that he was signing. He was a fast sort of a wing back midfielder. He got one of the goals in the 2-0 win against Aberdeen. Anyway, I'll talk soon. Shoot.